Hello chess lovers, Suren here, and in this video want to share with you a brilliant attacking game played by 13-year-old Magnus Carlsen. This is actually one of the best games that Carlsen has ever played. His opponent is Dutch international master Sipke Ernst, and the game was played in 2004 in Wijk. But before starting our game, make sure that you are subscribed in order not to miss my future uploads. I have to tell you that Sipke Ernst is 11 years older than Carlsen, but already at the time of this game, Carlsen was rated higher. His rating was 2484 and Sipke Ernst's rating was 2474. In this game, Carlsen was playing with the white pieces and he opened up with e4. Sipke Ernst responded with Caro-Kann defense, c6, d4, d5, knight c3, d takes e4, knight takes e4, and bishop f5. Black goes for good old classical variation. Knight g3, bishop g6, h4, h6, knight f3, knight d7, h5, bishop h7, after which white is offering the exchange of light squared bishops. Of course, all this is a theory seen many times, and by the way, I have to tell you that this classical line is filled with heavy theory stretching for more than 20 moves. e6, bishop f4, another popular alternative is bishop d2, but in our game we have bishop f4, white is inviting black to announce a check from a5, after which white is usually moving back his bishop on d2, and after bishop b4 is playing c3, but in our game after bishop f4 we have knight Qf6. Here Carlsen castled queenside, bishop e7, and knight e4. Another popular alternative is putting the king on b1, but in our game we have knight e4. Here comes queen a5. Well, capturing on e4 is also worth of taking into consideration, and games with this line have also been seen many times. But in our game after knight e4 we have queen a5. Already the pawn on a2 is under attack. We have king b1 and black castled kingside. Here comes knight takes f6 check, knight takes f6, and knight e5. Well, in 2003, years earlier, Judith Polgar chose g4 against Viswanathan Anand. The game finally ended up in a draw. But in our game after knight f6, Carlsen first decided to centralize his knight. Knight e5, rook d8, queen e2. Another alternative is putting the queen on g3, but in our game we have queen e2 and a dubious decision by Sipke Ernst c5. This is stepping into a tactical shot. Instead of playing c5, it was better to play a move like queen b6. For example, in a game played between Viswanathan Anand and Yevgeny Bareyev in 2002, this move was played by Bareyev. But in our game after queen e2 we have c5, which steps into this brutal knight g6 move. This is a move which is breaking the harmony of black pieces. In case you are wondering why knight g6 is not playable after queen b6, let me explain. Now if you play a move like knight g6, then black can play bishop a3 and can create a mating threat. At the same time, black is moving away his bishop from e7 square with a tempo. If bishop c1, then black can simply win the knight. But in our game after queen e2, c5 was played, and there it goes, guys. We have this powerful knight g6 move. Black accepted the knight sacrifice, but after f takes g6, black's position collapses very quickly. Instead, as the rook and the bishop are hanging, it was better to play rook e8. If knight takes e7 check, then rook takes e7. Though in this line, white is managing to win a pawn, but still everything is not so clear and black can fight back. But in our game after knight g6, we have f takes j6. Here comes queen takes e6 check, king h8, and h takes g6. This is an absolutely precise move. Otherwise, if you hurry and capture on e7, then you can step into this knight d5 move. This is, of course, can be very unpleasant for white. Well, you can move back your bishop on d2, but this is not what you want after knight g6. So in our game after king h8 we have h takes g6. Carlsen is opening up the h file, intensifying the pressure on h6, but still the bishop on e7 is hanging. Black played knight g8, protected the bishop. Looks like that even strengthened the pawn on h6, but it turns out that even this move can't stop white. As we have reached the critical position, please pause the video and try to find white's next move. Ready? In here, Carlsen went for bishop takes h6. I guess you saw this move in a blink of a second because this move was just asking itself to be played. By the way, let's go back. After h takes g6, if you want to play a move like knight g8, let's remove the arrows and make a move like rook e8, then even in this case bishop takes h6 is playable, and then queen f7 is coming, rook takes h6 check is the threat. If bishop f8, then you are losing your knight, and then white can quickly finish up black. Or after h takes g6, if rook e8, then this time white can go for rook takes h6 check, and again this is going to be winning. Both g7 can be a nasty threat, and also at any moment white's rook can join the attack. But let's go back to our main game, where after h takes g6 we have knight g8. So as I've already mentioned, Carlsen went for bishop takes h6, g takes h6, and here comes the rook, rook takes h6. This time Carlsen is sacrificing his rook. He's simply blowing apart black's king side, and black king is defenseless. Right now the threat is queen h7 checkmate, knight f7. Black is stopping white queen, but here comes g takes f7, king g7, and rook d3. This e1 square is successfully covered by white queen, and white rook is coming after black king. Rook d6, well, queen b6 could allow black to prolong his resistance. The idea is to meet rook g3 check with queen g6, but even in this case black has no chance to survive. White can easily win the game. Let's go back. In our game after rook d3 we have rook d6. Black is relying on the fact that white queen can't leave the e file, but of course Carlsen is not even thinking about winning black rook. We have rook g3 check, rook g6, queen e5 check, king takes f7, queen f5 check, and after rook f6, Magnus Carlsen announced a picturesque checkmate. Look at this beauty, guys. This black king is sandwiched between two rooks while white queen is killing the enemy king. What a beauty. Can we call this an Epaulette mate? I guess this is that same mating pattern. This was simply astounding game, guys, and I have to tell you that in his book Wonderboy Magnus Carlsen, Agdestein Simon writes, Magnus Carlsen has played many fine games, but this was the breakthrough creation that really made him famous. In the end, let's also solve a chess puzzle where the task is to find the winning line for white. It's white to move, and I will wait for your answer in the comment section. Thanks for watching. If you liked this game, feel free to share it with your friends as well. Let them know about this beauty. In the end, here are more suggestions for you. Feel free to check them out as well. I will see you in my next video. Take care.